events. We invite you to enrich yours by being an MTSU Arts patron.
Visit mtsu.edu/mtsuarts for more information.
It's Good Neighbor Events, brought to you by the law offices of John Day, AmeriCare Pest Control, and Cardinal Realty Solutions.
I've got pets.
AmeriCare Services Incorporated, family-owned and operated. For residential and commercial customers, we offer a full range of services. Our services include one-time, monthly, and quarterly pest control, termite control, moisture and fungus control, automatic foundation vents, and more. Licensed, insured, and bonded for your protection. 893-7111.
All the best of the best to get rid of your pets.
AmeriCare Services Incorporated.
WGNS is happy to share the local events of your church, club, or civic organization. Just let us know about them. And Greenhouse Ministries is offering life skills training every third Tuesday. The goal is to improve and enhance life skills unique with disabilities. The training includes basic financial transactions, dining etiquette, improving social skills, and public behavior, along with basic hygiene. Again, that is free at Greenhouse Ministries. Once again, Central Magnet School is participating in the Great Race. That's a 2,300-mile race, and this year it starts in St. Augustine, Florida, and goes all the way to Colorado Springs, Colorado. And that includes the 1953 Pontiac Chieftain named Bonnie. Bonnie and the Central team will be traveling along the 2,300-mile route from June the 24th to July 2nd. And WGNS will have daily reports from the team to share with you, along with pictures. That's June 24th through July 2nd. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford Issues with Brian Barrett on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at WGNSradio.com.
Rutherford Issues powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. You know, they're seriously taking solar power generation to you if that's what you desire. MTE offers a free consultation with energy experts. They've got an entire library of educational resources, and you can learn more about it at mte.com/prosolar. Well, we're going to have a rousing good time here this morning. We've got State Representative Mike Sparks in, and Mike asked Commissioner Craig Harris to come by, and I think you've got 10 more guests to come on in the next 20 minutes, it sounds like. So.
You know, Rob Mitchell, we've been talking about mental health and solutions and, you know, what's going on with the youth today. I mean, mental health, I've had 3 people that I've heard the past few days that committed suicide. I was over at the Sheriff's Department the other day with Chief Henderson and watching the graduation over there, so hats off to the mayor and Chief Lowry and others for and those citizens that went through. Chuck Isbell went through, and even the chief deputy of the jail told me one of his good friends committed suicide. The other day I heard a guy talking about a guy that they worked out with at the gym. He said the guy just jumped out in front of a train, killed himself, and then I heard about another guy in Smyrna that committed suicide. So there's no doubt that mental health, the seriousness of mental health, is at an all-time high. I think all that correlates with addiction and de-escalation. So I was hoping Rob Mitchell will call in about his chess program, because that's something we're talking about initiating with the young people. Think critically, think before you move. And I know Craig is very passionate about helping the youth to make better decisions and mental health and addiction. It all kind of all rolls full circle.
Well, Craig, I'm sure that you're eager to talk about something else other than tax increases, right?
I'm okay talking about that. I mean, that's just part of the job.
Yeah.
I'll try to take each subject one at a time. As far as what Mike's talking about on mental illness, my data came in for the month of May, and we had 11 OD overdose deaths, and that's high. We're back in the double digits again, but we had 6 suicides, and we're averaging 6 suicides a month. and that just unbelievable to me. And I had asked Elliot, and I think what's his name,
Pensley.
Pensley,
He'll
to
call in
come
here in a
and
little bit.
talk to my committee about some of the mental health problems that we have. Because a lot of people are dual diagnosed.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't understand that. So there is a big time correlation between addiction and mental health. We got to pay attention to it. We're so caught up in things. It gets frustrating sometimes, but it's kind of like right now, people rather talk to me about raising taxes and impact fees and relationships between me and the mayor, and those things, they're important, but they're not. When it comes to death, that's a whole different subject.
Yes.
You mentioned you get the data, and you also mentioned the people that are on this special committee or group. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? Because this is, I think, something fairly unique for Rutherford County that and efforts that you're trying to educate too.
Yeah, what happened is there was a lot of lawsuits that were filed with against pharmaceutical companies, based on the opioid epidemic. And me and Bill Ketcher, the mayor last administration, we sat down, and what we wanted to do is do our own class action suit. We didn't want to go with the state, and we took the chance, and we did that. And the reason we did it is because we wanted to take the funds that came in and allocate them the way we want to allocate them. Because you remember, like in the tobacco settlement, how they told you how to spend it, and we felt like we didn't want to go through that. Well, the settlements came in, and we went with the state of Tennessee. But in return, we got 15% to do whatever we want with it. And then 15% more was allocated to the county. And then the remaining had stipulations and regulations that you had to go through with the state. But they all aligned with what we wanted to do.
Okay.
So
now, is that the same for other counties, or
yes,
is Rutherford County?
No. This is the same for everybody. So what we did is I wanted to form a committee to oversee the allocation of this money. My whole concept of this is, like some people are putting in the general fund. We want to help people. We want to help Rutherford County in this problem. How does that look? Well, it's helping community organizations. It's increasing county employees. It's increasing awareness. And the three things that I've always wanted to do is awareness, education, and recovery. And those are the three things we focus on. And, one of the things I'm most proud of, and people don't know, is when I became county commissioner, I wanted, and I firmly believe this, I really do, that education is a major factor in trying to go on offense on this. So I went to Bill Spurlock, who was the school superintendent at the time, and I said, look, man, I need help. And he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to get a comprehensive drug program into our schools and to, deal with this problem, bring it to these kids' awareness. And he said, I tell you what we can do. We give you 3 schools. And it was Smyrna Middle, Elementary, and High. And it was so successful. I mean, the data that came in was just unbelievable, that now we're putting it in 12 schools. So that's a big deal, for Rutherford County, that we're trying to educate these kids and try to quit for this drug recruiting our young kids. And that's something I'm very proud of. I mean, that's something that I worked really hard on this, and I think that's kind of the idea of what we're wanting to do. Here's something.
So I guess a goal would be to have it in as many schools as we can in the county, obviously.
Absolutely.
At least touch every child as they, if they come from Wilson Elementary to Siegel Middle, well, maybe they can get that at Siegel Middle, for instance, or something like that.
Yeah, and I want to do it from middle school to high school.
Gotcha.
And I want to do that, and it's called Life Skills. And I got to get a big up to the new superintendent, James Sullivan. He's done a really good job.
Yes, he has.
I mean, the thing is, I want all the communities to be together.
So who does this teaching it within? Is it a curriculum? Is it something
Yes.
like, okay.
No, it's a curriculum.
And the teachers do that?
They had to be trained.
Gotcha.
And then they go through training classes. And then I was able to do this because I got a grant from the health department. The health department actually jumped in and helped. But now, that money's gone. So it is something that we have to do. But we're looking at getting help with other organizations like the health departments and the state health and get funds in. And we think we will.
Yeah. And you're trying to educate kids on the dangers of drug and alcohol abuse and things of that nature, and just let them know how bad this stuff really can be before they get hooked in, I guess.
Well, almost in the high 80% of addicts, most of them started smoking or drinking at the age of 13 or 14. And then, some of these people that are going to blow my hair back, marijuana is a factor also. And those are the things that 13, 14, where's that? That's your middle school. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I wanted to focus on was let's start going to the root of this problem and try to work with it and do it.
County Commissioner Craig Harris is here with us, State Representative Mike Sparks, and we're talking about mental health, addiction, and, just overall, I know you're very passionate about, how things are different than they used to be. I mean, I think about, you're talking about high school, or what happened in high school for me is something that middle school kids are dealing with, and just the pressures that are there. And vaping is another one of those things that has just taken off and is crazy right now.
It's, it's scary. And people, I think that's the next big thing that's coming. I mean, nobody knows. There's not enough data out there to know how bad it really is. This is pretty new. But here's the thing I did. I got some high school kids and from different schools. And I said, I just want to ask you, I want you to ask a bunch of different groups who vapes. How many, do you think in your high school vapes? Some of them are as high as 75%. Yeah. Wow. And I'm talking not public schools, just private schools as well. And it's just, it blows my mind. And, like I said, if you smoke and you drink, that doesn't mean you're going to be a heroin addict. But it is a red flag, and that's something that we look at.
You mentioned successes in the first three schools and the data that you got from that. Can you give us a few highlights of why you think that was as successful as it was? I
think that we're bringing awareness to it. Like there's a lot of times we had some studies done, some surveys done. They're kind of anonymous because kids don't want to sit there and say, yeah, I smoke pot, or yes, right. I drink. So they're anonymous, and the numbers were high. What we did was we took a test at the beginning, and then at the end, we took the test, and it was almost 76% increase. And I mean, that's just unbelievable numbers. And these questions ask, about addiction and drugs, and I was just totally overwhelmed with that. But that's one of the things that our board wants to do. We want to continue to, to support education. And, I put it together. When I put it together, I put together Robert P., who's chairman of budget, Pettis Reed, who is chairman of public safety. That's my two commissioners. I only wanted two commissioners, including me. And it's not Craig Harris, it's chairman of steering. Mm-hmm. So if I ain't chairman, then somebody else will be doing it. Alyssa Phillips, probation department head, Laura Filippo, who works for the recovery courts, Bill Cope, who's over our correctional work center, and then we have Tricia Breeden, who's citizen at large. And we finally are giving out money, and I'm so excited. One of the ones I wanted to bring up is it's called Interfaith Dental. Mm-hmm. And, people just like, what? They were so impressive. I mean, you got to understand that we are vain. We want to look good. We don't want to walk around and people think we're ugly, Yeah. And a lot of times addiction, their teeth, fall out and are not up to care. And this gives them a little bit more self-confidence and helps them recovery. And I was very, very proud of giving them money.
And so there are grants, obviously. Was that a grant?
Yeah, I mean, you got to turn in an application, and then we vet it, and then we watch it. And, had several meetings on it. It's not like just come in and get a check, I mean, we vetted. And what I've also done is we made a deal with Middle Tennessee State University's data analytics company, our department. They are going to vet everybody that comes to us. They're going to use the data to tell us areas we need to concentrate on, and then they're going to track the money. So I have set all these up to where, yes, you will get money, but it's not a recurring. You have to show us data saying that this is working, and it's not only working, but it is allocated towards Rutherford County.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty big and all of that. Mike, the state has some skin in the game, obviously, here too. So I'm sure that what the county is doing here, Rutherford County, is really going to help in the long run with the state budget.
Well,
and things like that.
Well, I think when you take folks like Craig, I hope Craig doesn't mind me sharing. I've seen this in my own family. Craig's seen this in his own family. I think when you have kids and you feel pain, it motivates you. Some lawmakers, nothing against lawmakers that don't have kids, but I think when you see it, like one of my sons, two of the boys he knew, two of them overdosed last week. Folks in the Smyrna area in Rutherford County may know what I'm talking about. Both come from good homes, and they both overdosed. You see this. I've seen other friends growing up of my sons that have passed away. But Chairman Harris, I believe you were at the town hall we put together a few years ago with Dr. Brian Terry. Tennessee Mental Health was there. Both school superintendents there, Mayor Ketron. About 110 people were there. But here's something that I've read this off in education. I've read it off in committee in the General Assembly, because I feel like there's definitely a disconnect in government. There's no doubt there's a disconnect in government. There's a lot of silos, different departments that may not be connecting. But the late Dr. Linda Gilbert was at that conference that we put together, that town hall at Parkway Baptist Church. And I asked her, I said, if there's one silver bullet that we could, one solution, because it's hard to pull in everything. Like, what can I just concentrate on as a lawmaker? And she wrote me this letter, and I've read this in committee. And here's what it says. It says, please thank Representative Sparks for reaching out. Yes, more funding for counselors would certainly help with the social emotional issues we're seeing. Another area is social workers. They are vital, and in many school districts are not able to fund them. She said, I also think it would be helpful for him and other legislators to talk to school superintendents about the issues we're seeing in very young children. Now, here's what's alarming. Here's what she says. The behaviors of our 6 to 9-year-olds are like nothing we have ever seen before. They are inordinately disruptive and aggressive. And while we are bringing all of our resources into play, there is no place for these children to go be assessed and treated. And she goes on to say, I feel good about what the Department of Education is trying to accomplish in the area with the emphasis on the whole child, not just part of the child, the whole child. Sometimes I think we neglect the whole child. She said, I'm hopeful that Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse will work alongside them to address the upper tier of children who seem to be no answers. Thank you, Linda. Now, Linda sadly passed away a couple of weeks after writing this letter to me. I will argue, in fact, I'll debate anybody if they want to take this on. She knew more about education than any lawmaker in the state of Tennessee. She talked to more school superintendents than any lawmaker in the state of Tennessee. She talked to more teachers than any lawmaker in the state of Tennessee. And when she goes to write me that the behaviors of the 6 to 9-year-olds, this is 3 years ago. They're now 9 and 12. Our prison budget has doubled since I was elected. Doubled, Brian. It's $1.2 billion with a B. That's $1,200 million, to put it in perspective. It's a lot of money that we can't use for roads, that we can't use for raises for teachers or investment in the classroom. And I'll be honest with you, and this is what really angers me, I've never had anybody come in my office and say, Mike, we've got to turn it around. Mike, we've got to invest in the fatherless. Mike, we've got to invest in these families. Mike, our prison budget's $1.2 billion. It's doubled. I've never had a lobbyist come in. This is a good example where government is broken. So when you get folks like Craig, who's willing to take a bullet, he's willing to die for his beliefs. Because when you see kids' faces like I have, and they're no longer here, we've got to change it. I was hoping Elliot may call in about the mental health bill we got. But one thing the state did do, there's a new crisis suicide hotline, Tennessee 988-988. Dr. Brian Terry talked about this on the radio with me a couple weeks ago. They've had an increase of 500 calls per month. So this is on their national suicide prevention number. So these are real, so we need real solutions, real discussions like Craig Harris is willing to bring to the table.
Craig, I couldn't help but to think about parents in this. You know, we talked about trying to reach middle school and high school students, and a lot of this stuff happens in good households, you know, good God-fearing, church-going people,
yes.
and you know, it's often a surprise to them, and education of parents has to be in there somewhere, somehow, don't you think, too?
Yeah, and I spoke with a lot of people addicted to drugs, and we came up with a red flag. You know, it's red flags of how to see things, because, you know, sometimes a lot of parents want to be your friend.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't be their friend. You got to be your adult. You got to prepare them for when they grow up to be adults. And, you know, it's simple things like, you know, way appearance. You know, pay attention to who their friends are. You know, keep an idea on those things. If you see, me and you, Brian, we know if we can see a difference in our kids or in our life or people important in our lives, we can see that difference. You know, and those, it sounds simplistic, but it really is. Just keep, you know, paying attention. Have talks with your children. And let me get this straight. Please get this straight. I am no counselor. I am no expert in this at all. I'm just telling you from experience. And
how many times have you heard, though, you know, I trust my kids, they've been raised right, this, that, and the other, and nobody's disputing that, but all it takes is that peer pressure to say, you know, hey, try this vape or whatever, and then that's a cycle, and then obviously the kids are going to try to keep that from the parents as much as possible, and you know, parents can only do the best that they can do. Some things are going to happen. You've got to be aware of those.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, if you're hounding your kid 24/7, what do you think that's going to do to them?
Right.
You know,
that's true.
And you know, Mike has said some stuff about numbers, and our numbers of deaths, which I think was like 135 last year, we're the leading cause of death in Rutherford County is opioid addiction, and a lot of people don't know that. But I have a stat that I want to do. We were listening to a presentation from our probation director, and we're looking to fund a drug counselor for probation. And I asked her to do a presentation. She did a wonderful job. But she says, we're currently, right now, we supervise 185 individuals found guilty of illegal possession of opioids. From 2020 to 2022, we had 752 drug screens returned a positive result of opiates. And right now, from January to June in 2023, we have 159 drug screens returned a positive result of opioids. I mean, that tells you, you know, that's a tremendous amount of people that are still abusing drugs. But I'm, you know, one of the things, too, that I get frustrated, Brian, is, you know, I'm way more than just this opioid. You know, I mean, I believe in Rutherford County, and I want to help in all areas because we have a lot of problems, and this is one thing that I really focus on. But we have a lot of problems we got to deal with.
Well, when you hear that, you know, it's just been in the last couple of years that our officers and EMTs and fire department carrying around Narcan. So, you know, that there's just been an explosion into that. And thank goodness that that's around because it does help. But, you know, that's too late down the road, I guess. We need to get them earlier.
Well, you can get Narcan over the counter now.
Yeah.
So our numbers as far as 800, I think we had 832 overdose, Brian. Those numbers are skewed because now people are having Narcan parties. They're actually ODing on purpose, and their own friends are bringing them back. And so those numbers are skewed. You know, and like, for instance, if you OD in Rutherford County and we transfer you to Nashville and you die, Nashville gets, you know, puts it on their death total, even though they OD'd here. So those things, and then there's all kind of stuff that we are not caught up with. You know, there's other reasons that you can die besides opioids, heart
Sure.
failure, heart attack, and some of those things. So our numbers are really skewed, but I think it's really worse than what people think it is.
Well, it's already, even looking at the numbers, it already looks bad, but you're saying it's even worse than the bad that we see, because maybe the cause of death is a heart attack when it was really, alcohol abuse or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, based on 2022, I think we rose 20-something percent, 26%. That's crazy. I mean, we're just having, it's, and people don't see it. Look, Brian, we see a white kid in a hoodie and we go, oh, he's dirty, nasty, And I have a billboard. We have a billboard up all around the county, and it shows that guy, and it shows a judge, a doctor, a school teacher, and it says, which one is the addict? And the answer is all of them.
Yeah.
We don't realize, you said something that comes from good families and stuff like that. Brian, there's some really good people. They're all good people, but I'm saying there's some people that are corporate leaders, doctors, all those, and
Yes.
hey, they all have, not only do they have kids that battle it, they battle it.
My late stepfather was a state investigator, and he always told me that nurses were the most susceptible and doctors I didn't believe him, but he would tell me, just go look at the data, and that was years ago.
I've only got 2 minutes here, so what we're going to do here?
Yeah. I'll just get Elliot to chime in on you had a good meeting of the day, Craig, with Elliot. Elliot, go ahead.
Well, hi, everybody. Sorry I'm joining late. I'm Elliot Tinsley with the Behavioral Health Foundation, and appreciate you all bringing this issue to everybody's attention.
Yeah, just expand on the bill that we're working on, and maybe why this stuff's important, and access to mental health care.
Yes, sir. House Bill 827, I believe that bill that Representative Sparks and Senator Reeves are carrying, its focus is on helping folks with mental health issues get into specialized treatment much faster than they are right now. We have folks who are sitting in emergency departments waiting for days or sometimes a week and a half or even longer for a psychiatric hospital bed to open up. And we have a system already there that folks are supposed to show where the beds are. So we want to be able to see where those beds are so that we can help get people in them who are needing them, instead of having folks wait and suffer and clogging up emergency departments.
Elliot, Craig Harris, how are you?
Good. Nice to see you, Commissioner.
You too. One of the questions that I had, and I think I asked this question to you when you spoke to our committee, trying to get people into beds, do you not see this as being a difficult because some hospitals and some organizations don't want to give you that data?
Well, yes, it's not about giving it to me, but there is a system, and right now it is voluntary, and all of the psych hospitals across the state have been asked to report at least once a day the number of available staff beds they have. And a lot of them are doing it, and some of them are not. And it's been a couple years now since they've been asked to do it. So the bill is necessary in order to kind of give it that little nudge in the direction of, please, we need everybody doing this.
Yeah. Well, I hate to cut this short, but maybe we can pick up the subject.
Pick up on it. Thank you, Elliot. Thank you, Craig. Yeah.
And our guest today, County Commissioner Craig Harris, State Representative Mike Sparks also with us, as well as Elliot Pinsley. And if you missed part of the show, be sure to check out the podcast. It's at WGNSradio.com. Look under podcast and Rutherford Issues. Or be sure to go and subscribe. If you like Spotify, and you subscribe to all of the WGNS podcast from there, and listen back at your leisure. Hope you have a great day, everybody. See you next time.
Hello friends, Lenny Farmer with Jennings & Ayers Funeral Home. More